First of all, I want to thank BSides committee for inviting me and asking me to be the keynote speaker. I was really confused about the topic of the presentation. So I started checking the previous presentations and other keynote presentations that BSides had before. And then I decided that the only value that I can give to my audience is to share with them my experiences, to share my career path and what are the key success factors that helped me personally in this career. So sharing all these experiences is like sharing my real rabbit hole, sharing how I managed to be there and how I managed to get out of it. And I think that experience will help you out as well, making sure that some of the points I'm going to share today will help you out in your career or any challenge you may face in the future. So definitely I'm not here to just let you know what's right and what's wrong. I'm not here to say how to do things. And certainly I'm not here to tell you what you need to be successful. But when you leave from this room, we'll get something from that. You're going to use it in your career at some point in time. That's the only goal I have for today. So keep your message. I have a message in the bottle for you. Keep that, read it. If that's good, if you find that's good enough for you, keep it and use it in your career. If it's not, just forget about my presentation and have a nice rest of the day. We'll go back in time. So I studied, remember, right? I'm nearly 40 years old. The first Trojan I used, which actually I didn't know that was a Trojan, it was this. Does anyone remember what this is? Yeah, probably because you are the same age with me. So yeah, I was studying electrical electronic engineer. Remember, by that time, the internet, actually nobody knows a lot about internet in Greece. The fastest internet in Greece was a dial-up, internet dial-up. So, and then when I went to the college and I was in my dorm, I had a full high-speed internet in a network environment along with my other colleagues in the next door, in the next rooms, in the same environment. So what I did I remember it was the year was 1999. By that time, Matrix, the movie, was out there. So imagine what impact that was for people that love computers, computer science, security in general. So that friend of mine was excited about Matrix so much that he started dressing like a Matrix. So when I discovered NetBus, I created a very nice PowerPoint. I installed NetBus. I transferred the file to his laptop, to his computer, whatever, and I ran the PowerPoint, which actually PowerPoint was replaying. If anyone remembers, the first Matrix was replaying the pillaging, where actually Neo has to decide between the real and the Matrix world. So I replayed that scene, and he was so convinced that something happened like him, that someone out there was Morpheus and was inviting him to join his group. He came back to us and said, "That is real. Oh, look what happened to me." And yeah, I could not realize that time, but this was my first security lab. Yes, as a prank, but still, it was the first Trojan I ever used back in 1999. So this was my first experience. I wouldn't realize that this will be my future, and I have to protect people from Trojans in the future. But still, this is a nice story that helped me understand that this is my passion. This is what I would like to do. And this is what we'll do for the next 20 years, almost 15 to 20 years. So when I graduated from the school, from the university, I went and studied, of course, computer information security in our beloved Glamorgan. I don't hear any claps around me. All right? Yeah. and then when I graduated, of course, when I started describing to my fathers and my parents what actually security is, they could not understand nothing, right? I just said I'm doing something about computers. So they thought, okay, it's interesting, computers, right? It's trend. So I thought that would be someone like this guy. Oh no, actually that's too modern for me. By that time, imagine I graduated in 2003. So actually I thought that would be someone like him. Yeah, when I went there and I was trying to let my friends understand who I am, what I was doing, or what I'm going to do the next years in my area, actually most of the times the impression they had was something like this guy. Yeah, and that's the reality. Yeah, so I had to deal with that. Now, I hope that I kept you a little bit awake until now. But let's go to the real life. This is a very interesting slide describing the problem today. There are too many threats out there, too few professionals. That gives us a problem. Yes, that's an opportunity for some of us because we have the opportunity to change jobs, whenever we like out there. We can move from one company to the other. At the same time, to new people that would like to join the area, they give them it gives them a wrong impression about what they're going to do. Because they can find easy a job, they think that the job is very easy for them and they don't have to evolve. They don't have to train themselves all the time. They don't understand how difficult is this kind of a job and what needs to be all the time updated, all the time trained, all the time understanding what's going on and all the time ready to deal with all the modern threats. So we have this new engineers out there that they are studying cybersecurity engineer, but they don't know how to evolve, because it's too easy to get a new job that they don't care about evolving, they don't care about trying. So that gives us a problem, and sometimes what they see is this thing. They see only the top part of the iceberg, the success part, and they don't understand what needs this iceberg in order to be solid, and what is the bottom part, what means to have failures and how can use them, what strategies must follow in order to be successful. Definitely ethics, one of the topics always. We had a course in our university. The vision, they don't have vision. They don't really understand the term team. It's a very important term related to security. If you don't understand how to use your team, how to be part of a team, you're never going to be able to understand how successful you can be. They don't know how to plan and prepare their actions. They miss communication, and they don't try to change the communication ways in order to start communicating with different personalities. And finally, they don't do much of research. So these are the key success factors that helped me, at least I believe, to be successful in my career and help me have the top part of the iceberg. So during my early stages early years of being a cybersecurity engineer, I could not understand this world. I could not understand what was the appropriate way to interact and cooperate with too many different personalities in a company. Basketball, I used to play basketball back then. helped me a little bit about that, with that, but still, I could not realize, the power of a team. I started to realize that when I had my own team. When my manager said, okay, these two new junior engineers is yours. When I had these two new engineers, I didn't know how to approach them. I didn't know what kind of strategy should I follow in order to help them improve as well. All I had was my instinct. So I followed my instinct on that. And what I found later was that I was following this kind of approach. Have anyone seen that before in their life? Anyone? All right, great. So the way I was behaving with my team, it was exactly, I was behaving like an alpha wolf. And I keep doing that. What's an alpha wolf? If you see here, and I think I will find some way to, no. All right, so if you see in the picture, these three ones are the oldest wolves in the pack. They're slow, might be injured, so still they're not allowed them to be on the back of the pack. They allow them to walk in the front, because if these were on the back, they will be away from the pack. They will be leaving behind. They will be left behind, and they didn't have any future. So they put them in front. Also, they keep the pace of walking because they are old. They're moving slow. So the pace of the team, the pace of the walking of the team is coordinated by these three old wolves. The next five are one team of very strong wolves. The rest is the team, another team of strong wolves, of course, and at the end is the alpha wolf. What that means, he is there because he needs to anticipate the possible enemies. He needs to see all his team and make sure that they keep on the right track, and so that he will be ready to anticipate any attack or any challenge. And that's the way, if you start imagining that, you can understand that's the way a team leader should act. That's the way. He should not be in front. He should not be always doing stuff, but instead he should be at the end, helping the team evolve, helping the team to be prepared for new challenges and protect them from new challenges. And that's what I followed. So the next thing was planning. To be honest, that was one of my basic characteristics. I could not start a project or a task without asking for a proper planning and preparation. Through my university years, I had no idea what that word really meant. Always I had to run up to the last minute to prepare for an exam, for a test, for whatever. So that changed 100% when I started working. Whenever I had a serious task, when I had to find a solid plan to get the best results. Like when I started working, like my mind started to change and program, have a new program in my mind that changed from not planning at all to start planning everything. Probably that was because I was trying to protect myself in a new environment, and I didn't want to let down my manager that decided to hire me. So I started working every day with a specific plan. Every day. Every day, that's a key message that I always say to my junior engineers. You must have a plan of the day, a plan of the week, a plan of the month, a plan of how to tackle every challenge. And to be honest, that's what helped me a lot to evolve through my career. I'm the only one that's doing that? No. This is Magic Johnson. Probably you already have, you know him. does anyone can imagine the percentage he had through his career on the free throws? What do you believe that will be? The average percentage on free throws? Who said? 85? Yeah, we have a winner. Was almost 84.8. Do you know why that happened? Not because he was Magic Johnson. Because although he was Magic Johnson, every practice spent around an hour practicing on free throws. Every practice. So first of all, he was an example for everyone, of course, but still he was practicing. Although he had a solid career, he was Magic, and had a huge contract, he still stayed after practice shooting free throws. By the way, he's not the most high percentage shooter is on free throws. Is not Magic Johnson, it's Steve Nash. By the way, it's 90%. But still, I used Magic Johnson because he was a huge name. And still, while he was a huge name in NBA, he still stayed after practice shooting free throws. And yeah, that helped me a lot. So my first successful project, and probably most of you will not know this kind of technology. Anybody knows what this is? Anybody? I'm too old. All right, that's a network. Actually, no, that's a cryptographic HSM. All right. So in this device, you could store all your encryption keys and all your encryption world, and you could connect it with a Microsoft Certificate Authority, and will protect all the keys in this device, which is actually 100% secure and had some special characteristics around security. So we had installed this device in one of the biggest banks in Greece. And my first project was, okay, my manager came to me and said, okay, this is your new project. This is the HSM. Start working on it because you have to install the disaster recovery site for them. The disaster server having installed this kind of equipment for a bank. Keep in mind that the bank was operating right now, every exchange, every money transfer, in order to do it, you needed this system to be operated. If this system was down, the banking was not actually working. You could see the balance, you can see whatever was in there, but you could not transfer or work on a stock exchange. You cannot do anything. So, okay, I got it. I got the spare device. I got spare cards. I started reading day and night, and then I reached at some point, I knew the system perfect. I knew how to upgrade that, and imagine this was not an easy task to upgrade such a device. And at some point in time, I had to do my military service, so I left the company for a year. But during that time, the bank had a failed device, so the core banking system was down for 8 hours. And then was when my manager called me and said, "We need your help. We have an 8 hours problem with the device. The whole bank cannot do anything." Because I work all the time, I did a very good. I installed in a lab. I installed it again and again, over 100 times. So I could install the device again from scratch, and reinstall the encryption wall that was needed in 30 minutes. So imagine, the whole bank was down for 8 hours. I went there and I restored the whole encryption keys and everything in 30 minutes. How did I do that? Because I was prepared. Because I managed I knew by heart how to install it, what exactly steps I needed in order to restore this kind of device. And that's why I started learning the value of preparing yourself and make sure that you're ready for any task, any difficult task. Communication. A very important skill that we must always develop. In my early days, I had serious communication issues with one of my managers, right? I was working in the office for an issue, but he was so busy that he never actually looked at me. So when I had to talk for a task or something, because he never looked at me, right? I had to print out my opinion or the result or whatever that needed to show to him, and I printed and put it in front of his face. What I did, can you understand? I evolved the communication because I could not find a normal communication path with the specific manager. I changed the communication to what he could understand, to what he will stop from what he's doing in order to pay attention to me. So that's critical. If you manage, you will every day you're gonna interact with so many personalities. Not everyone is like you are. So you have always to find the appropriate communication interface in order to make sure that your message is passing through. And for the next slide, I was very confused what I should put, like a bad example, so I selected this one. And this is a real quote from this guy. I think everyone agrees that he has very bad communication ways. And while talking on a radio show, explaining why he didn't needed a campaign leader, he said this kind of quote: "I am what I am, and I am what I am. And I don't need a leader. I don't need a leader to lead my campaign, because I can do everything probably." So yeah, that's a wrong message. So nobody gonna understand what you're saying. Nobody gonna pay attention to your message. Research. In our job, in our area, there are many unknowns out there, right? Nobody knows everything. So our job has tons of information every day that you can always need to follow up. You cannot always generically do a research without a specific goal. You need to identify the task for a specific goal that needed and do a research based on that. You cannot do always a research on everything. You cannot keep up always with everything. And keep in mind that that does not mean that you can have to sit alone in front of a computer. Sometimes it is much easier when you just ask for help. Asking for help and guidance is not a weakness. It's a power. It's a power characteristic of your personality. Share your knowledge and don't be afraid to say, "I don't know." Many times in my life, and I still do that, I say, "I don't know." It's not a bad word to say, right? It's not a bad phrase. You start using it. When you start from "I don't know," then there is a possibility that at some point in time you're gonna find out what the misinformation is. Another funny example about that, I had an audit in my previous job. He was a junior engineer, and he came to my office with a checklist. I think everyone has passed this procedure, right? And he tried, although I could convince him that this checklist or this specific requirement cannot be covered on this specific environment, he could not understand it. He could not understand it because he didn't have the proper background or experience. He just had a checklist in his hands. So by having a checklist and just following a checklist and without doing any research, you will not be you definitely don't have any successful security career. Vision. I have to be honest with you, it's one of the characteristics I still have to develop, even myself. Definitely my weakest point. Sometimes, to be honest, reading biographies from other successful people helped me a lot, because I could understand their vision, and sometimes I felt like being like them. But definitely the vision will help you orient on a specific goal, either personal or business, or both. And these are the long goals that will make you a professional on the long run. If you have a vision, definitely you will be able to build a solid career. Ethics, and it's a one-way road. Maybe the only characteristic that I heard from my father, to be honest. It's like I'm programmed always to do the right thing and say always the truth, my friends and people around them. Sometimes I think that my parents did some kind of hypnosis sessions to adopt this kind of ethics. I'm still wondering about that. But in our job, we every day have this kind of challenges, right? We are developing skills that we can use them to do many dangerous stuff and get easy money from various sources. But let's think about this. Is this kind of history you want to make? Is this kind of experience that you want to have in your resume? Definitely not me. I could not sleep if I had some kind of experience. A really funny story about that. A colleague of mine, he was doing a penetration test on a bank system where our car loans were stored. So I had a car loan, and the record of this car loan was in that system. So he called me in his office and said, "We are just one click away from deleting the record. Do you want to do it?" Yeah, we looked at each other for a minute, challenging our ethics, and I said, no. And of course, I still had to pay my installments until the end, unfortunately. So, yeah, you're gonna face this kind of challenges in your career, definitely. Sometimes, although you put a lot of effort in various tasks, although you are prepared, you have a plan, you have everything, you are missing strategy. And that's important as well. Yeah, plan, preparation, team, communication are success factors, but sometimes you need to apply specific tactics to get the best results. Definitely, this is something I learned during series of incidents that I had in my career, that we had to create a specific strategy for using specific actions. Even without realizing it, strategy plays a major part in my everyday life, and not only in my life. To give you an example, go over. Again, basketball. If you don't know how to win a game, you have to change strategy. And that's what the coaches are doing every day, right? They change strategy, they change the plan, they're using of course they have prepared for that, but they change the strategy. So, another funny story, in my career I had this huge bank, had a huge data leakage out there. And one of the employees that they fired, he got a lot of critical information and he released in pastebin. So they called us, of course, for advice and for start planning the next day. And I was in this meeting with very big personalities from very big bank, and among them was the CIO. And he said to me, keep in mind that the data is on the pastebin, right? Pastebin, everyone, right? he said, now, can we extort him somehow? Can we threat him somehow to get it out of there? And I said, and that was his plan, right? That's what he proposed. He proposed to us to find a way to extort him or find a way to threat him to remove the data from Pastebin. And I said, this is an anonymous kind of, uploading stuff. We cannot do anything. You have to build a strategy when you want to fire in someone with critical jewels, that he handles critical jewels of your infrastructure. You have to make a strategy what to do before you fire him. So, and definitely his goal should be how to build a strategy of the next day. What he has to do in order to protect from the data that he leaked, what we need to do in order to protect passwords and chain passwords, stuff like that, to apply the next day plan. But that was his real proposal. I was amazed. I don't know if you have been or you have seen last year Keynote speech. Dave Lewis had a fantastic presentation about failure. If you have not seen it, I totally recommend you to check it on YouTube. And as Yoda said, the greatest teacher failure is. My life, I think everyone's lives are full of failures, disappointments, but now I can understand the power of a failure. These are the points that make me, of course, stronger, but these were when I had a failure, then I could realize what I needed to do in order to change and not happen again. So if you have many failures, you're gonna have many points in your life that you understand how to deal with them and what you need to do in order to change and not happen again. I totally believe that this is a characteristic that will make you distinct from the competition. How to use your own failures. Difficult task if you don't know how to do that. Definitely you have to learn about. And I've seen many people doing the same and the same and the same mistakes. One comic right here, essential for risk management. I don't do anything wrong today, I will not do anything wrong tomorrow, and repeat. And believe me, that's something that I've met a lot of people that keep that. They think that if you don't do anything wrong, you will be perfect. And perfect, as you already know, it does not exist. I tried to find another example. That's probably everyone can see who that man is. He had 14 big failures in 26 years before he became a president. Most of us probably would stop on the 4, 3, 4, 5 failure. He had to pass through 14 failures, and yet he managed to become one of the most successful US presidents. That's what probably helped him become one of the most successful presidents. 14 failures in 26 years. That's a big number. So, to wrap it up a little bit and start helping you out how you can use all these tips as a process, I read in an incident response tactics this term. I don't know how many of you have seen that before. This is an OODA loop. What it means: observe, orient, decide, and act. And I have added one more: evaluate. So you can apply this kind of strategy in everything. If you start thinking yourself in every new task or every new challenge, you can apply that. You can do it, and you definitely at the end of this circle, you have always to evaluate what you have done before starting again. By the way, and probably our military guy here will understand that this is a military term. This was invented by American Air Force. Observe everything and everyone. When I was in the first year of my career, I observed literally everything. I kept a note in any unknown word I had. So my two colleagues were discussing with each other. I had an unknown word. I put it out. I wrote it down to research it later on. You cannot imagine how much that had helped me. Writing down all the unknown words I heard. And not only, of course, unknown words. Observe personalities, observe how other people are communicating, how they react on a failure, how everything everything is a part of an observation. Orient. Okay, you have observed, you have prepared, you have everything, then you have to orient on a specific target. You have to orient yourself and prepare towards a target, always. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a target, even every day, then you're definitely not going to have any progress on anything. Decide. Always you have at the end to decide. A bad decision sometimes it's better than no decision at all. And many of my colleagues are doing that. They're not deciding. They're not deciding on anything. Or when there's a time to decide, they're not deciding. They are freaking out. So you have to proceed with the decision at some point in time. Act. The final and most critical step. If you have followed the process, if you are prepared, you have observed, you know what to do, then that will be a piece of cake. Depending on the situation, of course, time can be a critical factor on when you have to act. And finally, evaluate. You need to evaluate your actions. Always need to recalibrate your process. Always you need to make sure that the next time you're going to do the same thing, you're going to do better. And your process will be fine-tuned. So the next time, definitely going to be better. Even in a bad approach, if you evaluate it, then you're going to be better for a fact. I don't know how many knows the Greek myth with Sisyphus. Sisyphus was, there's a myth, a Greek myth, that says that he was actually punished by the gods because he tried to, let's say, put in jail death, so nobody could ever die. And when the gods captured him at last, they put him in this torture. He had to move a rock every day on the top, and when he reached the top, the rock fall down. And he had to try again. And he had to try again. So that was the torture that they decided. Yes, I have seen this story in my life a lot of times. People tend to recycle the same task, the same behavior, the same argument, everything. Sometimes I feel like I live the same day. I feel like living a déjà vu. We must always try and try again, but sometimes it's not the mountain the actual problem, it's the rock that you have to carry. So when you realize that, you have to change the rock. You have to change the rock that you decide to carry. And when you find that appropriate rock, then you definitely, when you reach the mountain, the rock will stand up. I hope that this myth will help you out somehow in your career. Definitely, this helped me a lot. And before ending my time, 1 minute. You showed me 5 minutes.
I was holding it for.
Thank you all. Thank you BSides. So
Thank you.
for